Welcome back to Nothing But Nets. I'm loaded with a full panel. I got John from Everything BK Nets. I got Dylan from Nets Press. You got a major announcement. Dylan, you want to get into this? You want to start with this?
Yeah, let's do it. Break the news. Feel free.
All right. So myself and Dylan are going to be joining forces. We'll no longer be competing against each other. We'll no longer be heated rivals, but we will be a team. John will, of course, be with us as well. But BK Network Podcast and Nothing But Nets will be joining forces. We'll go over all the details, but we're going to have one channel. We're going to come to you live as often as we can. And we're going to be a team. Me, Dylan, and, of course, John is in on the ride as well. So give them kind of the details, BK, Dylan.
Yeah, no worries at all. So yeah, we're pretty much going to join together. We've got the logo all ready to go. What we're going to be doing is using this platform here for YouTube purposes. My channel will be saved, for the future if anything ever happens. But for now, everybody that's ever tuned into ours, feel free to subscribe to here if you haven't already. This will be the main channel for both of us. And then for Twitter, it will be the BK Network Pod Twitter. We will be switching that over to this. So from now on, when we stream live on here, we'll also be live on Twitter for you guys as well. So a lot of changes coming over the next couple of days, but hopefully by the weekend, we'll be all set and ready to go.
So when we have and Dylan will keep his channel. So when we have a nasty divorce and split up like the Beatles, you can go back.
Oh man, you guys gonna fight over me? Who gets property, John?
We both do. We both. It's all love. You can go on both.
Torn.
So yeah, the new Twitter will be Dylan's Twitter. We're gonna leave the name, the handle, everything the same on that, Dylan.
No, we're gonna switch it to our new name. We'll switch it all up. I'll switch the background up for mine too, so this way the old one's not on there. And yeah, we'll get everything rolling.
And the channel will be the same. It'll just have a new name, and I was trying to figure out how to do that. But I'm not that old. I can figure this out. It'll have a new logo. We got a new logo, and it looks good. All right, let's get it. Let's get into the Nets blown out again by Phoenix. Absolutely putrid offensively. Another game that was over in the fourth quarter. I know they kept it fairly. They played even-ish in the second and third quarters, but it was never really a game. Devin Booker scored 32. Kevin Durant scored 24. And give me your thoughts on the game first. Obviously, 16 first quarter points again. Dylan, I'll start with you. This is unwatchable at this point. 16 first quarter points and 16 fourth quarter points. That means in the first and fourth quarters, they scored 32 points total. Give me your thoughts on that.
I can't lie to you. I didn't watch shit last night. I fell asleep after the first quarter.
Well, good. That was the best decision you made yesterday.
Yeah, no, I was bored. There wasn't really anybody exciting to watch last night. But listen, at the same time, a loss is a win. I will take it. I was happy to wake up to lose by however much it was.
24.
Yeah, so it sucks that this keeps happening. I know people are feeling demoralized, but I'm feeling content because it's just, again, it's putting us one step closer to the goal that we need to. Unfortunate that Utah wasn't able to hold on to the lead against OKC. And of course, what was it? Who played last night also? Was it Toronto? It was Charlotte. They got fisted by Memphis.
Yeah.
Not to be weird, but yeah, they got absolutely destroyed. So yeah, it wasn't the greatest tank night, but again, a loss keeps us where we are. We're still 2.5 games back on the potential third overall pick, and I think it's good for us. We definitely need to continue the pace that we're going at again over the next couple of games. Unfortunately, with Jimmy Butler out, I could somehow see if they play, Johnson and D'Lo, that we somehow win that one, but hopefully not. The only game that we should win is the one against Washington before the trade deadline. So other than that, I think we should be, 7 games left before the trade deadline, or is it 6?
Six.
Yeah, no reason not to go 1 and 5 throughout that span.
I think that's certainly feasible. John, I want to ask you, another pitiable performance 84 points again in an NBA game. The Nets are playing circa 2004 style basketball. 84 points in an NBA game again. Give me your thoughts on that performance and just having to root for a team where the games are over in the first quarter.
By the way, before he even starts, Keon Johnson, highest scorer. Gary, it's your guy.
Whoa!
We're also going to get into Derek Whitehead, who shot the lights out.
He looked good. I did see that. Go ahead,
yeah, Gary, Dylan, always fun to talk great basketball with you. We are now in a new era with the conglomeration of both shows. So excited to be part of this journey. We're going to bring you the best damn content we could bring on a daily basis. And last night was it was pretty damn atrocious. And anybody wants to talk to me on Twitter about it, you can follow me at Twitter at OS91413John. They're working multiple shows. But yeah, it was an atrocious mess last night. Let's not cut any corners here. But yeah, Keon Johnson, I mean, another 20-point performance. That's your guy, Gary. He's becoming the Tank Commander MVP with his little performances. But yeah, it was mostly a really nasty game. Hard to keep up against one of the best scorers of all time in Kevin Durant with Devin Booker backing him up. But yeah, I think for us right now, we're in the evaluation period. We only have 6 games left before the deadline. This upcoming week, there should be a lot of trade stuff going on, especially the whole Jimmy Butler, Miami monster, 3-headed dragon, however that's going to turn out. But as far as this game goes, as far as valuations go, I think ultimately our center position, it really needs to change, reset, however you want to call it. Both Claxton and Day'Ron, Day'Ron especially, Gary, like we tried to defend this guy, but last night there was no defending Day'Ron Sharpe, man. I mean, he was abysmal. I mean, anytime this guy had
I didn't see that. What was so bad about him? Like
he couldn't dribble the ball. Anytime I saw this guy dribble the ball, either the team stole it from him while he was trying to dribble it, or he caught the ball, tried to dribble, and it would bounce out of the court. And the crazy thing was he made this insane mid-range shot, like one of the best mid-range shots I ever seen him make. And then he followed up with laying up the ball in the opponent's rim. He scored for the Suns last night. He scored for the Suns last night. Like it was just
Sharpe can shoot. That's the thing that we liked about Day'Ron Sharpe. Day'Ron Sharpe hitting a mid-range jumper is at least shouldn't be out of the ordinary. Day'Ron Sharpe was the guy that we wanted to play stretch 5.
Right. He gave you the 9 rebounds last night, right? His superpower. But man, if this guy can't learn how to dribble a ball, Gary, rebounding and trying to get some layups up, it's very one-dimensional. Even as a backup, like we can make all the excuses in the world that he's on a crappy team, but man, if you can't dribble the ball, how can I trust this guy as a huge part of our future? So I definitely think there's a very high chance Day in a week or 2 will be on a different team, just because I don't see how he can evolve his game right now with us. I mean, if you can't dribble the ball, it's a scary thing to see. And Claxton as well with his performance, he gave you 12 rebounds again, but still a minus 23. Like we need an actual center, a 7-footer that can rebound and score and not rely on a point guard to do all their offense for him. And unfortunately with Claxton Day'Ron, they are very, very, very bad on their offensive end. So that is definitely something we got to change for sure.
Let me jump in. I want to get Dylan involved because, like I said, I'm not going to defend Day'Ron Sharpe anymore, but I'm also going to defend truth. Okay, Day'Ron Sharpe, I don't think he was that bad yesterday. I think DJ's agreeing with. I want to pull this up again. I'm going to point this out every day. I know plus minus isn't the gospel, but it is indicative of what's going on in the game. Nick Claxton played 26 minutes, was a minus 23. In 22 minutes, Day'Ron Sharpe was a minus 1. Like, this is every game now, and I'm pointing it out every game, and I'm going to keep doing it, and I know it's annoying, right? But Dylan, is John, and look, Day'Ron Sharpe has not improved. Day'Ron Sharpe has not been good this year. Is John being a little hard on Day'Ron Sharpe when we consistently look at these numbers, and he's at minus 1, plus 2, and Nick Claxton is minus 20-something every single night?
Yeah, I mean,
is he being a little hard on? I'm not defending Day'Ron Sharpe anymore, right? He can't finish out the hole. He can't catch. I understand his flaws.
Yeah, I don't think, as of right now, just simply because of the situations that they're in, it seems that Sharpe can be traded and it won't matter, or he will be let go in free agency without even an offer. Claxton's contract only gets better. It'll become more valuable. So I think what you do is you got to draft a center this year, and that's it. He'll be, a guy that you can try and develop into the potential starter, but likely will just be the backup to Claxton until you make a trade at some point. And then from there, you got to figure out a free agent or, star center to trade for, which is slim to none. So, yeah, it'll definitely be interesting, but I think Sharpe's done. It's
Well,
it's really not worth it.
He hasn't progressed and improved. Like I said, his weakness. I like Sharp. I like him in theory, right? Like I like what he is in theory. A premier offensive rebounder, a premier rebounder who's physically strong as a mule who can shoot the three. I like if we're scouting him, he checks a lot of boxes that I would like, but he can't catch the ball. He can't finish at the rim. There's a lot. He's defensively, he's a liability. There's a lot wrong with Daron Sharp. I still think he's better than Nick Claxton. Would you agree with that comment? He's more valuable to a team than Nick Claxton. Would you agree with that comment?
Yeah, probably. I don't know. They're both like it's like kind of like you ever hear like two guys in the street having a rap off and they just both suck. You
Yeah.
know, it's like you're kind of like battling shit with shit. So I don't know. They're both very mediocre centers in this league. But we'll see. I don't know. I definitely think Sharp's the one to go though, because I don't think Claxton's movable as of right now. The only way that I can see them even moving him in the near future is again if you move up into the 2025 draft to select a Derek Queen or a Kaman Maluch, like that I would understand if you got rid of both and you got one of them, and then with one of those later first you select like a Thomas Sorber or a Danny Wolf, so this way you have two centers on the roster. That I would understand. But again, it just depends on the routes that they go. I don't think Claxton's a guy that can really get traded, like I said, until this offseason, and probably more realistic after this off. So the 2026 offseason, because that's when his contract will be most valuable. I think he goes down to like 21.5 million, maybe even 20 million per year. So the contract goes down pretty significantly. So yeah.
I want to address. I want to get back to that real quick, but I want to address DJ, my boy in the chat. Says, how can a person like Derek, and he's been on my case for saying the Nets should play Derek Whitehead for some time. I just want to look at the stats. He played 15 minutes and scored 12 points. He hit 3 threes, shot 4 of 7 from the field.
I think my question is, how can you hate on Derek? The guy's really not played much NBA basketball yet. He came off of a pretty significant injury out of college. This is a guy who was supposed to be a top 10 pick that we landed at 21. So
number 1, number 2 recruit in the country coming out of high school, but depending on who you ask. Yeah. So
it's
all
like,
I'm
he's got
saying
the
is,
yeah.
Let him play. Give him some minutes. We know what Keon Johnson is, and we know what Keon Johnson isn't. And what he isn't is a good basketball player. I don't have any answers on Derek Whitehead or Tyrese Martin, but I can watch them play in NBA games. Derek Whitehead can clearly shoot the ball. Is that fair, DJ? I don't understand. Like, he's barely played. Why can't we? I understand he said he wants to stay in the G League. Okay, it's time to come up now. We're going to play you like this 15 minutes a game. We're going to get you some burn. And he hit 4 of 7 from the field, 3 of 5 from 3. He scored 12 points. The team scored 84. He scored 12 points in 15 minutes. The team scored 84 points in 48 minutes. Like, what would be the downside? By the way, Walmart, I think the wheels finally came off that. I think man, was he bad. Back to Walmart for him. But
yeah,
I don't see any downside in playing Whitehead. John, give me your thoughts on Whitehead, and then
Yeah.
I want to get to Walmart.
I mean, so far from what he's brought, when he's come up so far, he's shown you can hit the three. I really see the mid-range game come out a lot, but he's shown you can hit some threes. I think, to DJ's point is, like, unfortunately, the injuries have kind of really set him back. I feel like he's really a year behind some of the guys like Clown and the others, and you hope that he gets some burn during these last 3 months in evaluation period to see if he could hang and hold some type of spot, because these upcoming 2 drafts could make or break his future on this team. If we get maybe 1 or 2 really good prospects in this draft and 1 or 2 in the following, if either Derek is showing he's got something on his team where, unfortunately, he could be part of a trade for a bigger deal down the line or potentially not on this team. He's got the time right now, but I hope Jordy gives him the time and opportunity to show what he can do, but he has to stay healthy. He cannot afford to get injured again going forward, or it's going to be hard for him to catch up again. So for him, this is an important period of time, and hopefully we get to see what he can really do. Not just shoot threes, but what he can really do as far as being a complete player and just build his stock up. He has to do it, or else it's going to be hard to see him on his team a year or 2 down the line. But it's an evaluation period. Like you said, Walmart guy, the wheels finally came off a little bit. But, hey, Tucson and Walmart has shown you he could give you some buckets, and he's still getting evaluated. So I'll be interested to see who from this bunch, 1 or 2, sticks out and gets a contract next year. To be on
I
this
didn't
team.
realize it was this bad. It was 2 for 15. I knew it was bad. I'm looking at the box now. I didn't realize he was 2 for 15 from the field yesterday. Is that it, Dylan? Is that it for Tucson? Is he done? Is it back to Walmart for him?
Damn, Gary.
I mean, he's on a two-year two-way deal. You just stick his ass in the G League. Please bring Killian Hayes up. I've been saying this for 3 months. You have a lottery pick like Zaire Williams, who has dealt with some shitty situations, and you're not giving the kid a single ounce of hope of seeing any minutes. Like, come on, buy out Bogdanovich. Nobody wants to see this fuck on my team anymore. Just get him off. I'm so tired of the non like what are we doing with Bogdanovich? What are we doing? Paying him to get healthy like we did with Ben, like we did with numerous other players in the past? Like, just get rid of him. You got rid of Jackie Foy as soon as they got rid of Jackie as soon as he tore his ACL. It's like, get rid of Bogdanovich, dude. He's sitting there wasting time. He's wasting a roster spot. Bring up Killian Hayes.
Can we spend some time on this? Like, a Bogey, look, and it's no disrespect to Bogey. We like Bogey. He was a fine net, like, whatever. But what are they doing with him? Like,
that's what I'm saying.
We're already more than halfway done with the season. He's still wearing street clothes. There's no reports on him that he's clothes. Like, what are we doing? We're just not playing him, correct?
And the thing is, too, is it's like, what are we trying to wait to raise his value? Because you got a week to do that. Like, you're not going to raise his value. What's the point of waiting to buy him out? What, until he's healthy? You might as well buy him out and let a team pick him up and let them wait until he's healthy. Like, you're just wasting time for guys to progress their game.
So, you know what it is?
Is still he healthy, John?
They say he's returning to ramp up. Last thing I heard about him was Nets Kingdom put out a report. He was getting ready to play mid-December, and then the guy disappeared for a few weeks. Then he was showing up in like fancy clothes and then hoodies. I'm like, okay, is this guy either getting dealt somewhere? Is he actually come back to play? And Dylan's point is, it seems a buyout is the most likely, but maybe Marks is scouring the market to see if there's a team that has cap space that's willing to do like a salary dub sitch where we get like a second for him. Maybe Marks wants to get something back for him, but at the end of the day, if he's not playing, it's going to be hard to see even a team with cap space want to take a guy on that's probably going to be bought out again and probably sign with another team to be on a contender. Maybe, maybe not, but it seems like a buyout's the most likely, but it's really going to depend on the Johnson deal. I think if the Johnson deal is like a multi-player deal where we get like 2 players back with draft capital, Bogdanovich has to be bought out to make the roster work. So I feel like the Johnson deal will kind of set Bogdanovich's future with this team, whether through buyout or being rerouted somewhere else. We really have to wait until that domino falls, right, Dylan? It seems like we got to wait for that.
I mean, the cool thing is that we should be getting Jimmy Butler news either today or tomorrow, because Bradley Beal's already been ruled out tomorrow. Butler's already been suspended for Butler's been ruled out for tomorrow, and then Beal was ruled out yesterday. He'll be likely ruled out again tomorrow if they play. So that should be happening before the end of the weekend, which will now allow the sole focus on the market to be Cam Johnson, and hopefully that starts to pick things up, because Sean Marks is absolutely fucking this thing up in terms of Cam Johnson. It is disgusting. He has raised his value to the max. Whatever a team is offering at this point is what you should be taking. There is no excuse not to just move on from him.
Right, and we're gonna get into that in a little bit for sure. I got some things to
get into was Derek Whitehead was 3 for 5 from 3, 3 for 5 for Whitehead. Everybody else was 4 for 26, and I'm getting heat for saying that Whitehead should play. 3 for 5 from 3 for him, 4 for 26 from everybody else. 4 for 31 for everyone else. So look, that's why I want Derek Whitehead to play, because he can hit a shot, and the Nets can't do that. I want to get into this. The Nets, again, they scored 84 points. So in their last couple of games, they've scored 67, 101, 101, 95, 84. Over the last 5 games, they've averaged 89.6 points per game. Dylan, you're the biggest tank commander. Is this what you want to see? This is unacceptable. This is not NBA basketball. I don't know that you could win a G League championship playing this way. 89.6 points per game over the last 5 for the Nets.
I mean, if you really think about it, it's not horrendous. You add Cam Thomas to that roster, they add 20, 25 plus points. So it's like, it's really not that bad when you're thinking about it.
The average NBA points per game is 114 points, about roughly, give or take. 114 points a game. The Nets is scoring 89 points.
Yeah, exactly. So if you plug in Cam Thomas to that 89 points as of right now, 25 plus 89 is 114. Like, like it really makes sense why we're this bad. But yeah, I mean, it's not fun to watch, but at the end of the day, it's not really about the product that we're watching on the floor right now, because none of these players on this team currently, and I mean none of them, mean a damn thing to this team in 3 years. I'm including Cam Thomas in that. I really don't think he's the guy. I know people hate me for saying it, but if you have the opportunity next year to draft Darren Peterson, who is a 6'6", 6'7" shooting guard / small forward, you take him, and he is already more important to you than Cam Thomas will ever be. So, yeah, I mean, you've got to. Yeah, there's really nobody on this team that I'm like, oh man,
I'm
I
sorry,
can't wait to see them on the playoffs.
Who did
for
you
5
say to
years.
draft? Who did you say to draft?
Darren Peterson. He's the second-ranked
Okay.
prospect behind DeBansta in the 2026 class.
But yeah, I'll let you continue. I want to follow. I got a follow-up question for you after that, but go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
No, yeah, you can continue. I
mean, I'm just, spitballing here. It's really, there's not a single guy in this team, like I said, that I really feel comfortable saying, oh yeah, this guy will be here in 5 years when we're making our playoff push. I don't see it.
And yeah, that's good. Go ahead, John.
And to Dylan's point, it's just we're evaluating talent. And with Cam Thomas' unfortunate injury situation this season, it seems like he's probably get maybe around $100 million deal. So the Nets are going to have some excess cap space this summer to figure out how to spend. And this summer is really going to be important, not only for setting us up for 2026, but down the line as far as big moves go. And unfortunately, Dylan's point, Thomas, at the end of the day, he can either be a part of our future, like a corner piece, or he can be that big piece that gets you a star talent to pair with the prospects that really break out on this team when we draft high. So there are going to be a lot of moving pieces this year, next year, and probably around 27 is where we hope to actually have more concrete as far as the structure and who's really going to be on this team. So it's really going to be a lot of evolving pieces. So I would say, too, to Dylan's point, don't get too attached to everybody. Listen, I like Clowney. I like how he's been shooting the 3-ball, but he's got a lot of work to do. This summer, he should be dribbling. Like, dribble the ball, layups, jump shots, all that. He should shoot a 3, like Gary says, but what else can he do? And I hope Jordy starts progressing him to that next level next summer. And with Thomas, we saw the progression with improving on his stuff. He's got to be healthy. Like, I didn't see Cam Thomas be healthy for like 3 to 4 months consistently because I don't want to say he's an injury-prone player, but he has not gone through a complete season yet because he was either being benched or he was getting healthy, having some run, and then he got hurt again. Like, we need to see Cam Thomas fully healthy before we could say this guy's a huge cornerstone piece.
Let me get your thoughts on this.
I was going to say, you mind if I also jump in here for a second? Because I see comments already crying and just going off about, how can you talk about Cam Thomas like this? The problem is that it's not me or John that thinks the guy is not good enough. Sean Marks doesn't believe in him. He hasn't believed in him since the day that he got him because he wasn't even the one that drafted him. Kevin Peterson was.
Exactly.
Kevin Durant and Jeff Peterson, who Jeff Peterson is now working for the Charlotte Hornets as a GM. So it's not us saying that we don't think that he's worth it. It's just the simple fact that, one, he was drafted in the late 20s. You take a guy in the top 5 that plays the same position as him, he is automatically more valuable and more of a focal point to your team than Cam Thomas is. That's one. 2, Sean Marks doesn't respect him, nor did any of the previous coaching staff before Jordy Fernandez. So, again, look at it this way. Jordy's been saying he wants to win, and what has Sean Marks done? Gotten rid of all the players that have helped him win. Do you think he cares about what Jordy Fernandez wants to right now? There is a clear path goal to what Brooklyn is trying to do, and it's a 2-year rebuild. Like it or not, you're going to sit through it, and we're all going to be fans at the end of the day. That's just how it works.
Right, and
I want to address that, all right? Because I'm in Texas. I'm the biggest Nets fan in the world. I'm the Jersey days. I go back to Kenny Anderson. Like, that's my time when I fell in love with the Nets. I've been a Net fan for 30 plus years. Mm-hmm. I flew from Texas to New York to go to games to watch my Nets tank and embarrass themselves. Yesterday, they shot 37% from field, 19% from 3, and 64% from the line, and they mustered up 84 points. They didn't play D'Lo. They didn't play Cam Johnson. At what point is this insulting to the fans? Seriously. I think the
biggest insult to the fans is not being able to win a championship with KD or Kyrie because you refuse to move off of guys like Joe Harris, or you refuse to move off of guys like Patty Mills for Bruce Brown. That's the biggest disrespect that we've ever received. So no, tanking is the least of our worries. Another thing that was big disrespect is when you had Billy King and you didn't have your own picks and you were having 3rd overall picks and 1st overall picks going to Boston. That was the biggest disrespect we've ever seen. We have our own picks.
Give the fans free tickets. Give the tickets out for free, because making people pay for this. I work hard for my money, so does everybody else, right? I pay for net tickets. This is the product that they're giving you. No Cam Johnson. When I went, there was no Cam Johnson. There was no D'Lo. There's no Ben Simmons. What am I paying for?
There's a simple solution. Don't go to the games this year.
Even the tickets are paid for. A lot of times the tickets are paid for in advance.
I hear
you.
I hear you, but you could always resell too. Like at the end of the day, people also have to realize what the general direction of the team is. It was established the day that we got our 2 first-round picks back. We are tanking. We are going to rebuild. You know what I mean? That's not to be like that, but that's other people's faults for buying the tickets. That's other people's faults for renewing their season tickets. Like, that's on you guys.
Right. And can I just say this too, Gary?
I'm in South Carolina right now. I used to go to 4 to 5 Nets games a year. You don't see me going out of my way to, go back to Brooklyn and try and watch them play in person because it's like they suck. I'm going to Charlotte where I paid like $40.
When they had the Kenny Atkinson days when Sean Kilpatrick was their best offensive player, right? Remember those like 2016, whatever?
Mm-hmm.
They were putting forth effort and they were playing their best five. And they were terrible. They were probably on talent just as bad as this team, maybe worse. Like they were horrible.
Yeah.
But Gary, this is why me and Dylan were frustrated beginning of the season because we tanked for our 2 picks right back. This is gonna be a horrible year. Me and Dylan mentally prepared ourselves for what was gonna come. I knew some of this crazy shit was gonna happen, but you know what was upsetting was winning all those games because it's like if you're gonna bottom out, we should have been a bottom 3 team right now. We should have been bottom 7, bottom 6, gambling our odds for probably the most important pick we've ever had so far. So thankfully things are starting to align the right way. But damn, John Marks has made this tank a lot harder than it should have been. But thankfully now he's finally smartening up and probably listening to the fans saying, Sean, take control of the situation. I get it. Jordy doesn't want to take. You're the boss. Set the standard. Get the top pick, bottom out, and it's your job on the line. And we better get a top pick because if we get a 6 or 7 pick, he should have his bags packed. Like you said with the Zach Wilson Jets GM scenario. If we're going to take away a season, ruin the money the people are spending to even show up, you better damn reward their faith in you, Gary. And I hope you and everybody else understands that. Like, we don't want to lose. We never want to lose Brooklyn culture. It should never be that. But you know what? This season, we have to sacrifice or go through adversity. That's Brooklyn culture too. So we better get a damn top pick for all this we're going through. But it's not easy to watch, like you're saying. But this is why Sean Marks needs to control the situation and not let people walk over him again, or else we're going to be back in the same position in 2 to 3 years. That can't happen again.
John mentioned Zach Wilson and the Jets, and I was against that pick. And the one time Zach Wilson had a good game in 3 years, I acknowledged it. I acknowledged it on air and said Zach Wilson had a good game, even though they lost and he fumbled the ball against Kansas City to lose the game. Other than that, he played well. So I'm going to do the same for Keon Johnson.
Or did the league make him fumble the ball because he was playing Kansas City?
That's a better question. Now, the pass interference call on 3rd and long that they gave to Mahomes was definitely a call-in from the league.
Yeah, but listen, when Mahomes came into the league, I was like a huge I wouldn't say fan of him, but I had a lot of respect for him. One, because I hated Tom Brady so much, so it was nice to see somebody new finally come in. But now it's just like I thought Brady got all the calls in the world. I mean, this is fucking ridiculous what I'm seeing from the Chiefs. It is. It really is.
It's unwatchable. It cheapens the game, doesn't it? Like you already, he gets calls, late hits, corrupting the passer calls that no one else gets on ridiculous calls. He flops like LeBron, and he's a Texan. I loved it when he was in college. I told my friend
he was an animal.
He was drafted the same year as Mitch Trubisky, right? Trubisky was taken like 2nd. He was taken like 10th or something. And my friend goes, "What do you think about Trubisky? Like, do the Bears have their quarterback?" I don't know much about him, but Pat Mahomes, if he can reel it in, he's the greatest quarterback I've ever seen in my life. He's like, you see, it's like, he scored 63 against Oklahoma. He threw for 5 touchdowns and ran for 2 more, right? Like, he's the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life. If he could just like reel it in, he got Andy Reid,
put it all together,
and he's the greatest thing ever, right? And like, he's a Texan. His dad was a Met. There's nothing I don't like about him. Except, like, it's just ridiculous now. The league's got to stop this. Like, it's so obvious. Like, I already feel like they booked the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. Like, it doesn't matter what happens in the game.
No, there's no doubt about it.
It cheapens it now. It really does. Like, 1 year, 2. This is like the 3rd year of this now, where every single call, every time there's a 3rd and long that's incomplete, every time he throws a crucial interception, there's a flag coming on the field and bringing it back.
There's never been a team. There's never been a team in NFL history that has had as many 1-point possession games won the way that they have. Like, if you were to split their 1-point possession games in half, they would have missed the playoffs. I think they won. Would they go this year 15-2?
Yeah.
I believe they won 12 of their games or 13 of their games by 1 possession or less. Like, that's never happened before. Against the spread, they were like 3-14-1. They were horrible. That's like impossible to do. There's never been a team since like stats have been tracked on possession like wins. There's never been a team in NFL history that's had as many 1 possession wins, but also be so bad against the spread and have made the playoffs. Like, it's blatantly obvious. Statistically, it's impossible what they've done.
when there's a statistical anomaly like this, it's not an anomaly. There's something behind it, right?
Yeah,
Like
it's Taylor
it,
Swift
it,
and her devil
it's
magic. She's a
right.
freaking
It's like when there's an election recount, and all of a
What?
sudden, like one side gets
Magic.
100,000 consecutive votes. Like that didn't happen by accident. Okay, that's not
yeah,
a
no,
weird
Taylor
anomaly.
Swift and her
There's
dark
something
magic and whatever
behind
she's
that.
got going on.
When Taylor Swift is more popular than the football game happening at the Super Bowl, you know there's something that got lost in translation. Seriously. That's
I
just wild.
wanted to ask a question too, and now that my mind's on the subject, you guys mentioned that neither Sharp nor Claxton should be the center of the future. I got an idea, and I want what you guys both thought of this. Zion, undersized 5, you put a big 4 around him.
No.
All right.
I don't see Zion being our 5, Gary. Listen. The guy's got injury issues. He could barely run. At this point, I'd rather him be healthy and play a 3 or 4 position than be a 5. Like that's just murder's row right there for that guy. I don't
I
see
think
it.
the only realistic option that I could see is say that you do let Sharp go in free agency and say that you do trade Claxton to move up in the draft to select a Derek Queen or Kaman Maluch. I could see Brooklyn giving like Miles Turner a 2-3 year deal. He's a free agent.
Maybe,
Like,
but
that
I
would
think
make
that would make
sense.
more sense if we were contending, though, Dylan, because
No, I
Turner could be
completely
a good
agree.
contending
I
piece.
completely agree. But when you have the cap space too, like you could also just sign. Look at Washington. They gave Valanciunas what a 2-3 year deal,
Right.
and they're going to
Okay.
ship him. They were just trying to build his value. They
Right.
could do that with Turner.
Let me put this out there, right? Because you guys know I'm interested in Zion. Just think of this as a front court. Ace Bailey at the 3.
Mm-hmm.
Noah Clowney at the 4. So you got some height. You got some height at the 3 and 4. And then you put Zion at the 5. So you got Ace at the 3, 6'10", 6'10", Clowney at the 4, and then 6'6" Zion at the 5. Why is that such a horrible thing?
Because I see a fat, obese person in New York food systems that would probably fail miserably, and I also see 2 skinnier guys that probably get bodied by a majority of players.
Let me address that because
I love Ace. I love Ace. I think he's going to
So if this was football, those guys would get creamed, Dylan. Is that what you're saying? If this was
That's
football?
exactly what I'm saying. I think Zion will like if you ever saw Zion, like you ever seen that video from My 600 Pound Life where like the lady gets on the scale and the husband's like, damn, like that's what I feel like whenever I see Zion Williamson on a basketball court. And I'm a big Zion fan. I'm a Duke guy. Like I love Zion, but the guy has got to put the food down. Like
and Gary, we need a real set. Gary, we need a real set. We can't cut corners here.
Let me address what Dylan said. Let me address with the New York food. Look, the 2 best cities in this country for food by a mile. I don't even think there's a third.
New York and Louisiana by far.
New York and New Orleans by far, by a mile. The thing about we can argue which one's better. It's irrelevant. It's like Kobe or LeBron. It's just they're both by themselves.
You want to see Zion hit his peak
probably
potential,
healthier than New Orleans food, right? Like we could argue which one's better. New York food is probably healthier than New Orleans food.
I would say New York food is it's versatile. You got Italian, you got Japanese, you got everything. In New Orleans, you got your barbecue, and I mean, he looks like the type of dude that really likes barbecue.
The comfort food, you got the French food. You got the food in New Orleans is really, really good.
They got a ton of options, but like when you're talking about versatility, New York's got every damn place in the world all in one. So it's like
a melting
that's
pot.
The thing. It's like get his ass away from food. Don't send him to Chicago. They got deep dish pizza. Don't. And he looked like
I was just thinking that.
Like send him to send him to Utah.
Gary, you know what the crazy thing is? Your rotation would be a Sean Marks move because this guy hates 7-footers. So, hey, why not get a guy that has injury issues, food issues, put him at the 5 and, see what sticks. But you know what it is at the end of the day? If we drafted Dylan Harper and we did your Zion thing, having him at the small forward, Dylan at the 1, Kim Tubbs 2, that makes way better sense. We could draft a center like a Danny Wolf, who I think could be a potential centerpiece for us, or the other guy you said, Dylan, what's his name? Thomas Sorber? Like, I'd rather draft a center.
6'10". Danny Wolf is 7 foot. Derek Queen is like 6'9", 6'10". Kaman Maluch is like 7'2". So yeah, I mean you have options.
Yeah, draft the real big, and if you did the Zion thing, him at the small forward. Don't put him at having at the 5 would make no sense. He would get killed. It would get injured again. It would just
putting him at the 5 is like putting Ben Simmons at the 5. He's just not healthy enough to play him at the 5 because he's just. Ben Simmons isn't fat, but Zion is. Keep him from being in a position to get injured. Because again, he is a big fella. Stay away from food. How Stephen A said, get off the weed. That's how I feel like with Zion with food. I'm like, stay away from McDonald's. Stay away from any form of food. Salad and beans. Literally, that's all you can have. Grains of rice.
I'm gonna put this out there. I've been doing the carnivore thing, and the weight loss, the weight just falls off. So if you want to lose weight, don't eat.
Oh no, I know. That's
plan.
what I did.
Just
Yeah,
eat the
no,
meat.
I could never eat a salad. I'm just messing around. But yeah, no.
I don't even suggest it for weight loss. You want to this is gonna sound weird to people. You want to lose weight? Eat steak and bacon.
Yep.
The weight will fall off.
No, you guys got to figure out how to make a combination of salad you like. Because I don't like certain things on a salad, but if you could find like a nice raspberry vinaigrette, some pecans, something like that, it works. And chicken, of course.
Is that it's not filling, so it's like you're still gonna have a craving for food. Like if you just have steak and eggs, literally have steak and eggs for breakfast, have a peanut butter and jelly for lunch, and have grilled chicken with rice with broccoli for dinner every day for like 3 months. I promise you'll lose weight.
That's a very interesting combination.
Eat steak and bacon, bacon and eggs. You'll lose a ton of weight. It sounds crazy to people, but we've been lied to so far. About nutrition.
I was going to say, yeah. Anthony just put it in the chat too. Fasting. I do a 16-hour fast every day. I stop eating at 8 at night, and I start eating at 12. Dude, I dropped from 227 a year and a half ago, and I'm at 185.
I'm 6'2", 50 pounds. I gotta eat, guys. I could try to do it, but man, I would faint it if I did that.
A year and a half ago, I'm now 6'2", 185.
So you went from 227 to 85, so that's 27. That's like 40 something pounds.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. I did all that in a year because to start my senior year of college, I was 218. So I had lost 9 pounds, but I wasn't doing the fasting yet. So I started fasting when I was like 218, and that was January. So within a year, I've dropped to 185, and I've been 185 for about 2.5-3 months. So realistically, I dropped like 30 something pounds in what?
Were you fat, or were you just like super lean and ripped?
I was fluffy. I was getting there.
I hear you. It happens, bro.
It happens, dude. Listen,
congrats, Dylan. You're Zion's new dietitian. Your Zion's new dietitian.
I may have
Zion, you're gonna fast and have salad and a PBJ. That's how it's gonna be.
Yeah, no. The reason for the 16-hour fast is actually
I do the same thing. I fast for at least 16 hours. It's once you get used to it.
Once you get past the 13-hour mark, your metabolism actually speeds up by double the rate. So if you can get to that 16-hour mark, your metabolism will pretty much what it's doing is if you do it for long enough, it actually puts your body into ketosis, which allows your metabolism to work overnight. So it's like doing a double shift, and you're losing like you can still eat once you get to that point, but like you won't see much weight. Like the other day, I had McDonald's, I had 2 peanut butter and jellies, and I had teriyaki chicken with rice, and I felt horrible that night. Wake up the next morning, and I'm leaner than ever. Like when you get your body into that point, it actually starts working. And then you can have those cheat days where you drink a little or you eat an extra meal. Like it works.
Right, or you go to New York for 5 days and you eat pizza and cannoli.
Yeah, like I was in New York for 10 days. I'm sitting there eating penne alla vodka every fucking day.
Yeah,
Italian food. It's the best.
On my weapons of choice.
My 10 days in New York, I went from 185 to 186.8. I was like, really? That was it?
Yeah.
Like, it works well. Dana White did this one thing. I think it was like an 84 or a 96-hour water fast. So all he could eat was chicken broth, liquid form, and water. And he dropped like 50 pounds and was leaner than ever. It's the craziest shit I've ever seen.
When I had to get wisdom teeth surgery, all I could have for like 2 weeks was like chicken broth soup, and we bought like a whole bunch of cans. Oh yeah, that too, man. But I was like, they had to give me these strong ass meds. I was like, woo! Like I thought I was high or something. It was crazy, but the chicken broth definitely came in handy. I definitely lost a lot, but man, I wanted to eat, man.
For health.
I know we are health experts. We are the new leading health experts of the world. Hopefully, we won't put you guys in a pandemic like previous ones have. Thanks.
Can we get to Cam Johnson?
Let's get to
let's go Cam Johnson.
Cam Johnson looks like he doesn't eat 7 pounds of burgers and fries every day. So yeah, let's get to him.
I still want to bring away Zion. Call me up. I'll show you how you can eat bacon and steak every day and lose a ton of weight. Call me. I got you.
Zion's got two angels on his head. Well,
You
one's
don't
a
need to
devil, one's
starve
an
yourself.
angel.
You just need to cut out carbs. Cut out carbs and eat high protein, high fat foods. You'll be fine.
Just
I
stick
got
his
you,
ass
Zion.
in a dark
Give
room
me a
for
call.
like 2 months with just water and like chicken, and not fried chicken. Like I'm talking grilled chicken, barely seasoned. Get the full protein and health.
Steak, butter, and bacon, and you eat all that, you'll be so full and you have so much protein and fat, you won't have to eat for the rest of the day, and the weight will start falling off. People have been lied to, but if you eat nothing but steak and bacon and eggs, you will lose so much weight. I promise you.
What about seafood, Gary? How about some seafood, man?
All right, seafood, you can do that too. You can
you can replace the steak with salmon, but I'm not a seafood guy.
Yeah.
I can't do it.
You're not a
Listen,
seafood guy? Dylan, what seafood do you like?
Thing for me. It's a texture thing for
Everyone
me.
likes steak, bacon, and everyone, for the most part, everyone likes steak and bacon. And people think it's unhealthy, and it's not. Eat it, and you will lose a ton. Eat that and only that. Like I'm a carnivore. I eat nothing but meat, and most of my diet is steak and bacon. People say, "What do you eat?" Steak and bacon, and that's what I eat every day. I eat once a day. I eat a pound of either hamburger meat or a pound steak, and a pack of bacon, and that's what I eat. And people are like, "How do you lose so much weight from eating steak and bacon?"
New TikTok video. Gary steak and bake eat bites.
It works, man.
It works. Like people think it's crazy. It's like you're gonna have a heart attack. Healthier than ever.
All right, let's get to the Cam Johnson
Zion,
story.
call me. I want to get you here, Zion. I want to get you here. Call me. I'll show you how to lose that weight. All right. Let's get into Cam Johnson. First of all, John, what's one of your opinion real quick? So the 89.6 points a game, the absolute putrid offensive performances that the Nets give on an everyday basis. You're okay with this because they're losing? This is okay as a business model for the Nets?
At the end of the day, this was the goals going into, and when you traded those Suns picks, your own picks, you were expecting to go through a really tough ass season, and it's in order to get a top pick. We don't have anything right now as far as being anything close to contention. So it starts with getting a homegrown prospect that could have a star potential to really carry you forward, and you have a second draft potential that has the same thing. So these two drafts are very important as far as building the nucleus, the structure. We are still trying to figure out the basics, the fundamentals. And as you've seen, Gary, this team can't even execute the fundamentals right now. Like, they can't even dribble. Like, these guys, we have to figure out a way to get top prospects, get more depth, get better pieces to learn the fundamentals of how to play right before we can even think about contention right now.
I agree. I'm the same way. Like I said, I really don't see a player on this roster being considered a win now playoff piece in 3 years when we're ready to do it. Right? Like, you got these two picks back for a reason. Say you go 3 for 4 out of your picks this year and they turn out well. Like, you say you get Harper, Ace, or Flag, that's your potential superstar. Say you get a guy, between like 16 through 20 if you trade up and he has potential to be a star. Like, you have two guys that you strike big on. That leaves you now to see how the team does. Like, you don't have to fully just pretend to bottom out and purposely lose next year. You could do what we did at the beginning of the season, which is see how the team plays. If they overachieve, listen, that's great. That puts you in a better position to trade for a star sooner. But if you want to let the young guys develop and they're not doing great in terms of getting wins, go for that top pick again next year. And what that does is now you have the 2026 season to fully develop the players that you drafted in 2025 and in 2026. So this way, by that off season, you're looking at a star. Whoever, doesn't develop the way that you want them to, package them. You'll likely have to package Cam Thomas. I know people hate to hear it, but you will. You have to.
I want to ask a question because I love Cam. I have a Cam jersey. I'm a huge Cam fan. I love his mentality. I love Cam Thomas. But here's a real question. To me, I'll phrase it like this: who has more upside as a long-term piece for the Nets, Clowney or Cam Thomas?
I would still say Cam Thomas, but the problem is that Clowney's not going to be making $30 million in the next 2 years. Like, when you're going to trade for a star, you have to give up the financial pieces as well. He'll be the most valuable player on our team in any star trade because he's going to be making that 25 to 30 million on top of the fact that he's also a young prospect that's averaging 25 plus. Like, you can't give up shit for a Rolls Royce. You know what I mean? Like, you have to at least trade a Mercedes and a Porsche for that Rolls Royce. So you have to give up a good player and picks if you're looking to grab a superstar long term. You know what I mean? Like, you can't give up shit for gold.
I agree with that, right? So, well, John, you answered the question too. Clowney or Cam Thomas, who has the who's more likely to be here long term? Who's as far as building? Who's a better long term piece for the Nets? Who's more
It's such
likely
a
to be
tricky
here?
question because you want to say Cam Thomas because clearly he could score a lot more than Clowney can as far as versatility goes. He can only do the three. He could do the mid range shot, layup. He could score in many different ways. Whereas Clowney, he's really just showing the 3-point shot. He's not really developing a mid range shot, an interior game. That's his
But he
next
had it
level.
last year. Like that's what I don't understand. Is he did it? Now he's only shooting threes, and
Right,
he's
but,
shooting them
but
5
remember,
seconds into
Gary,
the 24
this is
second
what
shot.
the coaching staff does with bigs. They let them go off in the beginning of their career, and they try to tame them down and focus on one aspect. It's great to see it from Klein. Like you said, we got to see next level. Dribble this whole summer, find that interior game again. Now, with Thomas, like Dylan says, it's so tricky because obviously it looks like he's going to get a contract, right? And he's going to get a chance to develop next year and probably the following. But after 2026, I think all bets are off as far as, what's going to take to actually start winning because the Nets have these 31 picks and counting, and they're going to use a chunk of it to go after somebody. They're not going to use these picks to draft everybody like OKC is because they're going to be in a pickle eventually with all that crap, especially if they don't win what they got right now. We have the chance to not only develop our prospects, but get a star and not be beholden to any second luxury tax because these prospects are going to be in their first 4-year contracts. We're not making a whole lot. You can get a star in their third or fourth years and compete. And by the time you have to pay them, if you're close to contention, that's when you go all in. Because at the end of the day, from now on, if you're near that second apron, your team is not built to win, you are screwed. So you have to hope by the time you do that, go all in, everybody's ready to win a title because now this new CBA, it's win or lose. It's not, oh, I'm going to get to the playoffs and have the second or third year. Second or third years aren't guaranteed anymore. It's win when you have your best shot to take it, like Dylan says. So unfortunately, we would want to keep Cam Thomas, but if he's a key to getting a superstar, look at what Sean Marks has done, guys. Me and Dylan keep saying it. He has not valued Cam Thomas the way the fan base values Cam Thomas. And it's great that Cam has been able to build a base for himself. But at the end of the day, basketball's a business. And as great as it is to see Cam improve on his weaknesses like we've all seen, unfortunately, at the end of the day, Marks is the one signing the checks and making the deals. So just don't be surprised in 2 years if we have our main big pieces and we cash out really well in these drafts, we go after a superstar. All these GMs will be looking at Cam Thomas, unfortunately, as that big piece to trade for a superstar. So we have to see what happens. But there are different scenarios that we are just outlining for you guys, and it's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out.
And I want to answer this question that you have pinned up on here, right? So it says, what if we go 1 for 4 and we suck still and we traded everyone away? So we draft high in 2026 and then we're shopping for guys like the guys we were traded away. I'm not sure what the last part means, but when you're looking at this coaching staff and the way that they've been able to progress players, I doubt you're just going 1 for 4. Like, truly, it's not. This team has built the perfect development staff. It is very, very good. I mean, look what they've done with Tucson. Look what they've done with Tyrese Martin. Look what they've done with Noah Clowney. Like, they're doing well. Cam Thomas progressed this year as a rebounder and slightly as a playmaker. Like, they're good. They're not gonna just cause for guys to be shit. Look at even Tariq Whitehead over in the G League right now. Like, and then when he comes up to the NBA, like he does well. I don't think you're gonna see 1 for 4 of our picks being, good. I think you're going to see like 2 out of the 4, if not 3 out of the 4. And even that third, if you do go 2 for 4, that third may just need to spend a year in the G League and then he'll be right back up to where he needs to be. Like, I think you're going to be just fine. And even if so, draft high in 2026. The main goal is 2 top 5 picks in the next 2 years, right? The Boston blueprint, what they did with our picks, that's the goal.
I want to get into something. I gotta. The 2-year tank thing. I just like. How do you? It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. But I want to get to Cam Johnson. We've got.
Well, can I explain a little bit to you too, if it's not making too much sense? Because it's like,
I get it. I just don't think it's like. How do you know who's going to tank? You want to tank for years in advance. And then, so we're going to keep bad rosters, right? So we're not going to re-sign Cam because that's not a good tanking piece. Like, it just doesn't make any like.
If you look at the rosters this year, right? Utah, if they land a top 3 pick, they're likely not going to be full-blown tanking next year. Portland, they're not even fully tanking this year. Charlotte, Mark Williams is healthy. They're starting to win games. They may be in a position where they want to go after somebody in the offseason. They may have enough cap space for a guy like Brandon Ingram. Who knows? There's really not many teams that need to tank as of right now. You may start to see some of the older teams potentially do it, like if the Clippers decide to blow it up or the Warriors decide to blow it up, they may. But at the end of the day, most of those teams without those players still have better rosters than us. Like the Warriors without Steph, you still have Kuminga and a bunch of young players right now.
So we're not going to sign Kuminga, right? We're not going to keep Cam Thomas. We're not going to get. So we're going to let all these good players go that can help us in the future because we want to have such a bad team that we get another top 5 pick. But then who are we putting around all those players?
That's what the cap space is for. You don't have to.
We don't want to use the cap space, right? We want to have a bad team, so we're not going to sign free agents.
Gary, you know what the problem is?
It doesn't work.
I know, but Gary, we talk about this.
You have to. We've seen these rebuilds work. Like, look at Houston. They traded their franchise player in James Harden, and within 3 years, they are at number 3 or 2 in the West.
They signed veterans, and they hit on a pick later in the draft. They got their franchise player late in the first round.
So right now, we don't have the veterans, right? But this year, we have the picks. We have the later picks, just like Houston did, right? Say you strike big on 2 of those picks. Now is when you start to look for veterans to put around them to start doing a little better. You know, now is when you start to bank on some of the picks that you traded for from other teams to potentially land in the lottery so you can grab another guy. Like, you have to allow your guys to develop. You can't just bring in veterans that are going to try and win now, like we have with Cam Johnson, who are taking away from younger players, right? Like Cam Thomas by himself without Cam Johnson is going to progress better than what he has with Cam Johnson and Ben Simmons on the floor. So you have to allow your young guys to develop too. There's no avenue, no matter who you add to this team in the next 365 days, that will allow you to beat a team like Boston, that will allow you to beat a team like Cleveland, Orlando, Indiana, New York. It does not matter who you add. They're not going to win.
I understand, but right now, Houston, that's the blueprint you want. They're not beating Boston either. They're not beating Oklahoma City either.
They're competing. They just lost.
They're not beating. If they play Oklahoma City, it doesn't go more than 5
Didn't
games.
They just beat Cleveland by 2 last night?
You're talking about in a one-off? Or because the Nets got good wins this year too. Are you talking about in a one-off, or are you talking about?
No, I'm just saying in general. Like, we're talking about teams playing good teams and doing well in the standings. I'm not just talking about like random wins here and there like the Nets have. Like Houston's competing. Houston is a piece away.
They are, but they're not going to win. They're not beating the best teams in the league.
But that's my point, though, is they're allowing their young guys to hit their potentials because they're saving their cap space and draft capital for a Kevin Durant or a Devin Booker. That's already known. You know what I mean? Like, they're allowing Amen Thompson to get better. They're allowing Reed Shepherd to develop in the G League right now. They are allowing Alperen Sengun and Jalen Green to be first options. So this way, when the time comes where they do get a real first option, those guys are going to already be first option like players playing the 2s and the 3s.
But they signed guys like Van Vliet to big money, so that
because they had the cap space. Yeah, but Van Vliet doesn't affect winning. He is so far washed, it's not even funny. Like, he's not even that good of a playmaker anymore. He's not a full-time starter for them. He splits minutes. Like, we're fully starting Cam Johnson. We're fully playing him 30 plus minutes a night. That's the problem. Like I understand if you want to grab veterans, kind of like how Washington did with Brogdon and Valanciunas. You play them 15 to 25 minutes a night, but they know their role. They're not going out there to win games. We have guys on our team who are really fighting for their lives to get contracts, like Schroeder and DFS were. We have Cam Johnson, has a little bit of an ego to him. He wants to win games. You have to find the guys who can help the young guys develop, but also know that we're not trying to win right now. So I agree, you do have to grab veterans, but it has to be the right ones.
Right,
so
and
that's
Gary,
what I'm saying. Like, Kuminga's not the right
Van Vliet and Brooks, who they spent $65 million on, 45 and 20 or something. It's something like they spent $65 million on those 2 guys, roughly, give or take.
Mm-hmm.
That's them trying to be better, right? Like, this idea that like we're just gonna have the Walmart and Tyrese Martin and Keon Johnson, and then we're gonna add 2 stars to that, and then now we're good because we have 2 good players and the worst roster in basketball, to me is a losing model. And if you look, like I said, if you look at all of teams that have tanked for the last, going back to 2018, none of them have ever won a championship.
Right. But Gary, you and I have talked a lot about this summer what the Nets do to the cap space. And yes, if they want to go after Zion and Giannis, are probably the 2 best options, I would say, I don't know what Zion's a good option right now, but those are probably the two best options. Some of the thing is this: Sean Marks is our GM right now, and he's showing you he can get the star no matter the cost, right? What's around it? This free agency this summer looks pretty damn bad and abysmal. So it doesn't make sense this
I
summer
don't
probably to go
necessarily
after
agree with that, though. I think Brandon Ingram's a great piece, and I think look,
yeah,
I'm not going to
but
spend
Gary, if you
46
sign
million
him
on
too,
Kuminga, but I'll spend 30
who
million
are
on
bench
Kuminga.
pieces? There's not a lot of depth this summer free agency that's going to help us beat a Boston, a Cavs, or an OKC. Like it's literally having Giannis or Zion
I
on the team trying
understand
to
we're
carry
not
you.
beating the best teams in the league, but you guys all like the way that Houston tanked. Houston isn't beating those teams either. Like, here's my point. Toronto still stinks. Toronto has good players. Charlotte still stinks. Charlotte has good players. You can have good players
But
and
they've also
still
dealt with injuries, though. Like
understood.
LaMelo's been in and out. Mark Williams hasn't been healthy up until the last week. Scotty Barnes has been in and out of the rotation. RJ Barrett was dealing with illnesses for like a month straight. Emmanuel
Can we
Quickly
use
was injured
Toronto?
for a
Because
month and a half. Like there's,
Toronto signed quickly, right?
but
They have Barrett.
yeah, no,
And
that's
they're
what I'm saying
still,
though. Is like they've been hurt a lot this year. Yeah, and they're still tanking, but they've been hurt a lot. Like RJ Barrett was dealing with illnesses for like a month straight. He was in and out.
yeah,
He
that was
missed like
suspicious.
10, 15 games already.
That was he spent 15 missed
Yeah,
a month
Scotty
with a
Barnes
cold.
has
That
been
was
in and out of the rotation. Emmanuel Quickly missed over a month. My thing is, right, is like I understand you wanting to add the veterans, and I agree. But the veterans that you're looking at are Zion Williamson and Brandon Ingram. Like that does not help us continue to lose. That's bringing in a guy that's going to take away from the development of a Cam Thomas or the guys that we draft, right? So I'm looking at the free agent market right now for this season. Lonzo Ball is a name that I like, right? Naz Reid has a player option if he decides to opt out. Luke Kennard is an option. Marvin Bagley, a young player who has really not done much in his career. Don't mind taking a chance on him.
so.
Let's
Let
see
me
Tyus
who
let me
else is on
Jones.
here.
Tyus
I don't
Jones.
want no
Trey
Marvin Bagley.
Jones. Trey Jones
Trey
has been
Jones.
unrestricted.
Okay,
Trey
I'm with
Jones is
Trey
an
Jones.
unrestricted free agent. You know, he's 25. Like, there's guys out. I mean,
Would you
even if
still
you
want?
want to bring in a veteran like a Trey
If we
Lyles
drafted
or a
Dylan
Kevon
Harper, would
Looney,
you
like
still?
you can do that.
If we drafted Dylan Harper, would you still want to sign Trey Jones?
Personally, no, because I want to see Killian Hayes on a 1 or a 2 year deal where he can actually just show what he's got. Like if he works out, great, but if he doesn't, then you just get rid of him. Like, you know, there's other guys on this list as well. Like you have Jayshawn Tate, who's an unrestricted free agent. He's 29 if you want to bring him in as your veteran presence. Gary Harris Jr. has a team option, which will likely be declined.
Right.
Malik Beasley is an unrestricted free agent. You know, the list goes on. I mean, you have players who don't impact winning that you can bring in to be a veteran presence. If you want, Nickeil Alexander-Walker is an unrestricted free agent.
Let me ask this question, Dylan. How long do you want to be a really bad team for?
2 years. 1 year after this.
So this
It's
year
not
and
long.
one more. So okay, we're gonna be bad. We're horrible this year. Along with Washington, we have the worst roster.
We're going to be horrible this year. We're probably going to be slightly better next year.
Well, we're going to lose Cam Johnson and we're going to lose Cam Thomas. So those guys are gone.
No, why would Cam Thomas be gone?
So that we can
Why would
tank.
Cam Thomas be gone?
So that we can draft the guy in 10th grade.
No, it's
right?
still no. You still bring him. No, you still have to bring him back because you need a trade piece for the time that you do want to go in for a superstar. You know, same thing why we brought back Nick Claxton.
Hopefully we can trade Cam. So either way, hopefully we can trade Cam Thomas. So Cam Johnson's going to be gone.
I mean, right now any team would take him in terms of a superstar trade with the draft capital that we have. Look at Milwaukee, for example. The rumors came out that they would trade for Cam Thomas for DFS. Yeah,
I agree with you. You can add Cam Thomas as a piece to a blockbuster trade. So you're gonna get rid of all of these pieces, and you're gonna be left with Keon Johnson, Tyrese Martin, and those type guys. So then you're gonna put Dylan Harper on that team, which is an absolute disaster of a team, and we're gonna be horrible again next year. And then you're gonna add
a Darren Peterson or a DeBanza or a Boozer or a Noah Met or a Caleb.
Hey, can I just say this too?
Stop, John. I'm talking. So we're gonna add Boozer and we're gonna add Dylan Harper. So an 18-year-old and a 19-year-old. And now we're going to have an 18-year-old, a 19-year-old, and the Tyrese Martins and the Keon Johnsons and the Dariq Whiteheads of the world. How good is that team?
No, because realistically, Tyrese Martin, you don't even know if he comes back next year. I'm not sure what his
saying,
contract
those
is.
type of players, like you can substitute
what I'm saying though is
for any marginal player.
What I'm saying though is yes, for next year to have the bad players, sure. But after you draft the 2026 player, the draft is before free agency. you still have the cap space to improve the roster. So this way you have those 2 top 5 picks plus the 2026 free agency class that you bring in, right? Realistically, we have 1 pick in 2026 and we have 4 firsts this year and a second. Realistically, I only see us using 3 out of those 5 picks most likely. So you're talking about bringing in 4 young players alongside Cam Thomas, Noah Clowney. Those are the definite 2 players that'll be on the team in 2 years, right? So that's 6 players. You know, who knows who else is on the team? Let's just take an estimate. There's 3 extra players on the team. Now you have 6 roster spots to fill with the cap space that you have. Bring in veterans. Bring in what you need. Let these guys develop for a season. Have the right veterans and contracts so this way you can move in on a superstar for when the time comes. It's truly a simple process.
Yeah. So now we're going to put a superstar with an 18 and 19-year-old.
Look at what Boston did.
I suppose they'll be 18 and 20 at that point.
Look at what Boston did. They made the Eastern Conference Finals without Kyrie and Hayward being healthy with their 18 and 19-year-olds, you know? Like, it's possible. I'm not saying that Harper and Boozer bring you to a conference finals, say if, you know, Giannis is hurt.
That was crazy what Boston did that. Yeah.
But they also had very good depth, right? They didn't, how they did it is take away the fact that they used our picks, right? Say that it was their own. They still drafted 2 top 3 players. And after they drafted that other top 3 player in Tatum, they went and signed Kyrie and Hayward, right? That's the blueprint. You draft your 2 guys, and once you draft that second guy, hopefully if it's in the top 5, you go for the superstar in free agency or in the trade market. That's because at the end of the day, though, most of the guys that you want on this team, whether it be a Giannis or a Zion, that team is going to ask for one of those last 2 years' top 5 picks. And I'm not giving up those guys to go for a 33-year-old Giannis at that point in time or a 29-year-old fat, obese Zion Williamson. I'm just not doing it. You know, like, you don't trade those 2 guys. You keep those 2 guys and you fill the rest of the roster how you can, whether it be through free agency or the trade market. But 9 times out of 10, like, look at our current situation, right? The Bucks said specifically that they wanted Dorian Finney-Smith or Cam Thomas. That was a clear sign that they said, listen, give us DFS so this way we can keep Giannis happy, or give us Cam Thomas and you can have Giannis. That's pretty much what that's saying. That's the buildup to when Giannis eventually asks out. So in a Giannis deal alone, you're giving up Cam Thomas. Any superstar, Anthony Edwards, whoever it may be, you're giving up Cam Thomas. You know what I mean? So
I agree.
You want to make sure that you don't have to do it in the trade market.
He's the one.
That's why I prefer to draft wings, because the best point guards in the league are going to be free agents in the next 2 years. Ja Morant, De'Aaron Fox. Like, you could look in the 2027 free agency class, right? So the 2026 offseason heading into 2027, I'm pretty sure De'Aaron Fox is a free agent. Say he does hit the unrestricted market. Sign him. You have him next to Darren Peterson and you know, Ace Bailey. Hell yeah. Why not?
Yeah, but those guys, I mean, Ace and those guys are going to be years away from being good. I mean, being not good, but being max.
But if you bring in Fox as your number
NBA
1
type player, I mean, those guys are years away from that. So the timing doesn't really work.
Say you draft Ace and Darren Peterson, right? You have Peterson at your 2. Realistically, how we got KD, you had to sign and trade D'Lo. Same thing for Cam Thomas. You sign Fox, you trade Thomas. That's how that works, right? So now you have a starting 5 where you have your backcourt being De'Aaron Fox.
Yeah, but this is all extreme hypotheticals. You don't know that you can get De'Aaron
all hypotheticals.
I know that I have a trade offer that I may be able to score Zion with. So the reality is I can trade for Zion, or I can have a pipe dream about De'Aaron Fox.
Of course. Of course, it's all hypotheticals, but the meaning behind it is there's still hypotheticals where it may not be that exact player, but it could be a similar situation. You know what I mean? Like you can make these things work. Realistically, at the hype level and potential of Ace Bailey and Darren Peterson, those guys should be where Franz Wagner and Paolo Banchero are within 2-3 years, right? So if you bring in a Fox for Ace's second year, then you're looking at Ace being like a Brandon Miller type in his second year, a guy that could give you 20 to 22 a game, you know? Like, that's kind of like the baseline that you're looking at.
And even at that point, even if he's a guy like Brandon Miller who can score 22 points a game in his second year, we're still a bad team. Like, we're still a bad team.
But the thing is that you're not seeing the fact that you could add the young pieces, you can add the star, but you also have the cap space to add the veterans. That's what most teams don't have.
Why are veterans? Why are veterans, like, why are good veterans? who have options, De'Aaron Foxes of the world.
Cap
Why are they
space.
signing?
Cap space.
But,
Look
we
at
don't know
Kyrie and
the-
KD.
we-
Why
we-
did they sign here when Kirkos was one of our main
Okay.
pieces off the bench?
Great question.
Jared Allen was a
Because
rookie.
I'll answer the question. Because Kyrie and KD wanted to play together. They were building something.
And
they
we
were
had
a
cap
playoff.
space.
They were a playoff team, and obviously we had the cap space. For sure,
That's my
we had
point.
the cap space, but
So
we had a
now
playoff team.
Now you factor
We don't
in-
have a playoff team. We have the worst
No,
roster
we
in
didn't.
basketball.
Realistically, you got rid of D'Lo. You ended up moving guys. Like KD was not healthy. He wasn't going to play the first season. They came here because they knew there was cap space and they could build the rest of the roster out for them. That's why.
Yeah, but they
we
had
have that.
Allen,
we
they
have
had
that.
Dinwiddie, they had LeVert, they had good players.
And that's what our drafted players will be. That's the point. Is rather than having look at LeVert and Allen when we got KD and Kyrie, they were like first, second, and third year guys. That would be similar to if a Fox or somebody joined in free agency in 2027, because then you have your rookies who are in their second years or their third years. Like you can have a similar blueprint, except you have even more cap space. There's an endless amount of routes and opportunities that you can take, but the first route that you take is you grab your 2 young stars through the draft. Every team has done it, whether it be with the 55th pick or with the first pick. It doesn't matter. You draft your top guys, and then you fill out the roster afterwards. You don't fill the roster out on a guy's rookie year when you're trying to bottom out again one more year,
We've got all off season to debate this. I want to get on to Cam. Can we move on to Cam Johnson?
Yeah, here. Let me take this call real quick. I'm going to be on mute.
All right, John. What did Dylan just say?
He had to go take a call real quick. I just want to say this too. Depending on who we sign in free agency with this cap space, Sean Marks is probably going to use next year's trade deadline to move off of the pieces he signs for even more draft assets, especially if the goal is to get in 2 drafts straight. So whoever we sign with this cap space summer could just be trade chips to get even more assets. So that's why it seems like the Zion and Giannis thing may not be what he probably does, just because it seems like he's probably going to want to get more assets to eventually make that bigger move down the line a year or 2 away. So that's where it just seems like it's going at this moment. But he can change up. But he can change it up like you said, Gary. He can change it up like you just said, Gary. We can go either way with this. It's just, what is the smart way? What's the smartest way to do it?
I've said this over and over and over again. I think we are in hell
Mm-hmm.
to the point, like more than any other Nets fan here, like more than any Net fan in this Twitter sphere on the Nets YouTube world. I think the Nets are in absolute hell right now. I don't think there's any way out without getting a mega superstar like Giannis or getting Zion on the cheap and hope he stops being a fat, lazy bastard. Like those are the 2 options to get out of hell. Giannis or get Zion on the cheap and hope he says, hey, I want to play basketball instead of eating chicken wings at the strip club till 4 a.m. Like those are your 2 choices. Having the worst roster in basketball to get 18 and 19-year-olds is not going to make you good. The Celtics didn't have the worst record, didn't have the worst roster in basketball when they got their stars. They had good players, right? And now we're going to trade Cam Johnson, right? So that's another, at least NBA rotational guy that's gone. So we have absolutely nothing. So you want to sign De'Aaron Fox or John Morant and saying, hey, you can come play with an 18-year-old. Why would they do that? Like, I understand Kyrie did it. Granted, check. Got it. And KD wanted to go with Kyrie. Understood. What are so now you're betting again that we can pull off an inside straight and get 2 of the top 10 talents in the NBA in the same offseason. It doesn't happen. It's only been done twice. Miami with the big 3 and the Nets. Other than that, it never happens. So like the thing that we're gonna just do it again, to me, is like the most optimistic, wishful thinking in the world. Like, could it happen?
Well,
I suppose, but realistically,
isn't that why we got back our 2 picks, wishful thinking, hoping we crash and we cash in on both drafts? And at the end of the day, if we do the Giannis and Zion thing, what is the supporting piece going to be? Sean Marks has shown you it's easy to get the star. He's willing to pay any price, right, to get the stars. It's what is around it. I do not want to go through a DeAndre Bembry, James Johnson, Javon Carter situation ever again. That was atrocious. We had to rely on a 35-year-old Kevin Durant to play 40 minutes a night. The dude couldn't get 1 5-minute break. He had to carry team. Every time that atrocious bench came in, Gary, we were losing and losing. If Giannis is on this team and he's sitting down and we have a bench similar to that, There's no, we're just screwing ourselves. We're the Chicago Bulls right now. We don't want to be that. So, we could talk about the Zion Giannis thing being what we need, but at the same time, we're probably going to be like the Bulls and be a middle team zone. That's what, at Dylan's point, if we get these 2 prospect stars, we have something that could entice a star to want to come join and be a part of it. And then we have a deeper bench than we would have if we go for Zion and Giannis right now. But like you said, this summer is going to be very important for the Brooklyn Nets. We have unlimited cap space. We have 31 picks accounting. This summer will set up where we're going in the next 2 to 3 years. So it's going to be interesting to see how this all turns out this summer. But yeah, it's definitely going to be a lot to monitor.
By the way, have you guys read up on the Cam Johnson talks yet?
We're going to do it right now. Let's get to it right now.
I got to take a leak.
He's got to.
Cam Johnson.
Hey,
we're
going to make the shirt. I got to take a leak, and underneath it's just going to say, "Bye, Gary." We're going to get that shirt made as merch.
All right.
So here's the report. This is from Hoops Hype and Michael Scotto. It says Brooklyn Nets forward Cam Johnson is among the top players NBA executives around the league are monitoring ahead of the trade deadline while averaging a career-high 19.4 points per game and flirting with a potential 50-40-90 shooting split season. Despite being in the midst of a rebuild, the Nets highly value Johnson, who turns 29 in March. Brooklyn has a 0-10 record with Johnson out of the lineup, as previously reported. It would take more than 1 first-round pick to pry Johnson from Brooklyn. The Sacramento Kings, Indiana Pacers, and Memphis Grizzlies have been among the teams most linked to Johnson in the rumor mill. While the Kings have long been linked as one of the top trade suitors for Johnson, it's worth noting Sacramento has been resistant to parting with rookie guard Devin Carter in trade talks with teams, league sources told Hoopsite. Instead, a combination of Kevin Huerter and Trey Lyles with a future first-round draft pick has been identified as Sacramento's most consistent package when they've looked to upgrade the roster in trade talks with teams. Yet it is worth noting the Kings have been on a roll lately with a blistering 10-2 record under new head coach Doug Christie. The Indiana Pacers have also been on a roll at 8-1 to start the 2025 season. Indiana has talented young players such as Benedict Mathurin, Aaron Nesmith, Jarris Walker, and Ben Shepherd. The teams around the league have inquired about. Mathurin is eligible for an extension this offseason and is potentially in line for a big payday given his scoring prowess. Indiana values Mathurin, and his upcoming potential contract extension may not align with Brooklyn's current goals for future cap space flexibility. Nesmith is owed $22 million over the next 2 seasons. His contract is affordable, especially for a starting caliber player. Walker and Shepherd remain on affordable rookie-scale contracts with team options in the 2026 season. Pacers reserve forward Obi Toppin, considered an eventual trade candidate with Indiana's group at power forward, is unlikely to be a fit for the Nets due to his remaining $45 million over the next 3 seasons. The Grizzlies, meanwhile, have continued to evaluate their roster while conducting due diligence on the trade market, including Cam Johnson. Memphis also previously attempted to acquire Nets forward Dorian Finney-Smith. During trade talks, the Nets have valued future draft picks and want to maintain cap space looking ahead. Amid Brooklyn's rebuild, the Nets are also evaluating which young players will remain part of their core. So that's the full Nets update. Listen, I put out something. I did my mid-season predictions over on my Instagram page, and one of the ones that I said was Cam Johnson will be traded for an unprotected first-round pick and an additional protected first-round pick, but with no young talent in return. And my prediction was Memphis. I still stand by that. I posted that over a week and a half ago. I still think Memphis is the team to get it done. So realistically, they only have to give up, a John Conchar and a Brandon Clark plus 2 firsts, or they can just give up Marcus Smart and 2 firsts. Like that to me is a realistic deal that you run away with. Just take it and go. Preferably Marcus Smart, because you don't have to worry about 2 guys that are on 2 3-year deals. You just have to worry about Smart, who will be expiring next year. But other than that, I mean, it seems like, it doesn't really seem like there's an avenue for Indiana because, like they said, we don't want Obi Toppin, but we also don't want Benedict Mathurin because of his contract extension this season, right? So realistically, their package would be what?
Wait, slow down. Let me ask you a question about that. Yeah. I missed it when I was taking the leak. Why don't we want Benedict Mathurin? Why don't we want Mathurin?
Because he's due for a big payday as a contract extension, and they said that it doesn't fit with what Brooklyn's looking for long term. It makes sense. He's going to get 25 to 30 million. Why would you want to pay him that plus Cam Thomas that? At that point, you've wasted all your cap space for the next 4 years. That makes sense.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Right.
Not like Mathurin, but yeah, it's not going to make sense. Having him and Cam together at $50 to $60 million isn't going to make sense. I agree.
Yeah.
Right.
So that probably means the package from Indiana, which will not happen, but the only one that Brooklyn would probably take is Jarris Walker and Aaron Nesmith. You may not even have to throw a pick in that, but if that's the package, Neesmith is on a cheap deal, and like they said, he's a starting caliber player on a cheap deal that you can work around. And then you also get Jarris Walker as a young player. I'm fine with that.
I like that too.
I still prefer a pick, which is why I think Memphis, OKC, and Sacramento are the teams to go with. Because again, even if we don't get Devin Carter, I don't mind getting Trey Herter or Kevin Herter and Trey Lyles, because Trey Lyles you can buy out. You can buy out Bogdanovich. You can bring up Killian Hayes, and then you just have Kevin Herter for a season and a half. It's not the end of the world.
Well, I have an update on the Kings, actually. It was reported from Mark Stein yesterday by Nets Kingdom that apparently the Nets and the Kings haven't had talks for weeks about Cam Johnson. So all that talk,
I want to answer that question.
Which is
Do you
so
think
weird
that's
because
I can't see that being.
Yeah, me neither. Because the people that I've spoke with have mentioned Sacramento's been in constant talks with us, and then not to mention this report here shows that the Kings are still interested in. Like, I don't think that report was fully true.
It's you know what it is. It's all over the place right now because we thought OKC makes perfect sense, but apparently they don't want to rock the boat because Kenrich Williams is important to playing 2 minutes off the bench in a 7-game series. And now the Kings, apparently, there's what Mark Stein said is that they don't see a clear pathway towards making a deal because of what Sean Marks wants. At the end of the day, this 2 first-round pick stuff, I'm totally cool with it. But if you get unprotected and a mix of assets with that, take that. Like holding out for just 2 picks I think it's scaring away potential buyers. If you want my honest take on it, because the Kings, we could have made a deal with them. If you throw in a lot of seconds with that first, maybe reroute Kevin Huerter somewhere else, we could pull something off. But it just seems like Marks is dead set on these 2 firsts. And you brought up Memphis, Dylan. Last thing I heard was there was no substantial talks because of the fallout with Doe, but maybe they could, come together and get something done. I think Memphis needs to do something. They've probably had the most underwhelming trade deadline so far because they wanted to be in a lot of conversations, but they haven't pulled nothing off. But we'll see if they want to do Marcus Smart and 2 firsts for Johnson. I'm totally great on that deal because he's expiring next year. Work around it. We get the 2 picks. We move forward. I would even say the Magic. The Magic should be a candidate. They're right now in a playing situation. They have done their damnedest to fight hard all season, but this is the thing about getting injured. You could try to make up for it, but eventually it's going to take a toll. And I think that they have a great package to offer us potentially. Jet Howard, a first, whether that's 25, 26, and maybe Cole Anthony in some seconds. That's a good deal too. So I think Magic and Memphis are probably the 2 teams that could make the best deal for Johnson right now. The Cavs deal, we all agree, doesn't make a lot of sense from a quality standpoint, but at the end of the day, this Sean Marks are talking about, he could do that deal and say, hey, I got 5 seconds and a 2031 first for Johnson, woohoo. But at the end of the day, that will make you excited.
Let me jump in on that. Let me jump in on that. If the only trade, and it's hypothetical, but if the only trade available was the Cleveland trade, would you keep Cam Johnson or would you make the Cleveland trade? John and Dylan, go ahead.
I would make.
I would not.
I would
not make that trade.
You got to move on from him. Get it over with.
You can trade him in the offseason, though.
But he results in late season wins, and there's no need for him. Just get rid of him.
Right. And if I'm talking about a quantity deal with this, if they're willing to give me 4 to 5, probably 4 most second-round picks, and that's 23rd. Look what the Jazz just did. They just traded 3 firsts for that 2030 Suns pick because that's a very valuable pick. There's no telling what the Cavs team is going to be 4 to 5 years from now. Right now, all that money they have is tied up to Mitchell, Garland, Mobley, and Allen. And there's no telling if those guys are going to do 4 to 5 years. So that pick, unprotected, could be a huge lottery trade chip for us to get a star down the line. That's probably the most valuable thing I'm getting out of this deal for Cam Johnson and maybe that Jalen Tyson kid. Like you said, Gary, it's not good quality, but quantity, I would take it at this point.
Can I jump in here with a trade package?
Give me the Cavs trade one more time.
It was LeVert, Jalen Tyson, and a first-round pick plus multiple seconds. But I'm looking at a Memphis deal right now that I would take in a heartbeat.
A 2031 pick at seconds, right?
Yeah.
All right.
I'm looking at a deal right now that I would take immediately.
LeVert's going to win you more games than Cam Johnson is because he's a ball handler. He can create his own shot. LeVert's going to win you more games.
You probably flip LeVert if you get him to a 3rd team like we do with Jay Crowder.
I wouldn't mind immediately trading him.
Exactly.
I
just
love
don't see
LeVert.
them doing that.
I said if they make that trade and LeVert doesn't get bought out, I will buy a Karis LeVert jersey. I love LeVert.
Right. But Gary, you heard what
I'm not making that trade. It doesn't do
right. But you heard what Dylan said. We didn't want betting that third because he's due for money. We don't want to give Lure any money. So if this deal is just getting a prospect that's making $3 to $4 million and a whole bunch of draft capital, you pretty much have open cap space. I think that's what Marks would probably want. So if that Cavs deal is the worst deal we get, but from a quantity standpoint, it gives you more assets to make a big move down the line, I'll take it too. Just because we have to get rid of Cam Johnson, there's no keeping this guy who's only going to get injury prone as he gets older, and his offensive stats, three great months. But is he really going to continue that as he goes into his 30s?
Well, you're
No.
not getting any
If
value
anybody
from him
believes
anyway.
that,
He's averaging about 20 points a game on 50, 40, 90 shooting, basically. You're not getting any value for him. You're not getting any value for him, right? Like, it is what he is. The league doesn't – I don't value him. He's having a good statistical season. I don't value Cam Johnson. Like, I said to me, if I have a choice between DFS and Cam Johnson, someone's got to play in the final 4 minutes of the game. 10 out of 10 times, I'm taking DFS. Like, I don't value Cam Johnson. You know what I'm saying? So if the rest of the league is looking at him and saying I don't value him, then like I don't know what you do with him, right? I'm not trading him for seconds. Like I'm not doing that, right? He's not really going to help you win games because he plays off the ball. He doesn't rebound. He doesn't really defend. He's really not helping you win games. The only way that he can help you win games is if he gets hot. And we all agree he's going to kind of cool down, right? Like he's going to be a 45-37 guy, not a 50-40 guy. So he's going to cool off. He doesn't really help you win, right? Like that's why I don't value him, right? So I don't know. I don't like the Cleveland trade at all. I don't.
If so here's a trade with Memphis though that I cooked up. Right, it saves Brooklyn $5.1 million. You get Marcus Smart, the kid they drafted this year, Jalen Wells. He's on a 4-year deal, making $1.1 million. That's an absolute steal. Yeah. You get the 2026 pick unprotected, and you get a top 12 protected 2028 first from Memphis in exchange for Cam Johnson and Day'Ron Sharpe. I do that immediately.
That's a great deal. That is a great deal. I get a top prospect who's in rookie of the year conversations.
They were interested in Sharpe a while back. They've been interested in Johnson for a while. You get a unprotected 2026 first, which is the most important one you could ask for. Get that fucking deal done, man. I'm telling you, I could negotiate this shit better than Sean Marks can. This isn't hard. Get on the phone. It's like Leonardo DiCaprio in Great Wolf of Wall Street. Pick up the phone and dial. It's that simple. Get on the phone. How hard is it?
I mean, Gary, that's what it feels like it's come down to. It's come down to the Cavs, a quantity, horrible quality deal, or Dylan's Memphis, great deal. And I'll throw in the Magic. That's about it right now. I don't see Pacers, Rockets, OKC not in it right now. Like, it's really down to those three teams, I think, right now. I don't see another team that has that type of interest.
A single thing, though, so I doubt they're an option
at all. Yeah, but they would make sense, though. They would make sense, though.
Call up Houston, say, hey, Houston, Cam Johnson, Cam Whitmore, let's make the salaries work. It's a win-win for everybody. Why can't
we agree? But they want to get a star, Gary, and they're probably holding on Whitmore and Reed Shepherd to get the star this summer. So it's out of our control at that point, unfortunately. Right, as great as it would go.
Houston says
but OKC again, I'm just surprised they want to do no business with. Like Kenrich Williams and Ousmane Dieng are not playing any minutes in the playoffs. You literally swap those two contracts for Cam Johnson, a guy who could give you 15 to 16 points. Like, okay, like Dylan said, Sam Presti is drunk on draft capital, and they shouldn't be drafting this year. Like, we tried doing these mock drafts. You can't even fit OKC in it because they shouldn't be getting any top picks. Like, hopefully Sam Presti is just trying to, like, play this grand scheme with everybody where, oh, we don't want Cam Johnson. We want to keep Kenrich Williams, Ousmane Dieng. Then when the deadline comes, hey, we just swooped in and got Cam Johnson for 2 guys and 2 picks. I hope that happens, but if it's Memphis as the best deal we can get, go for it. And if it's the Cavs quantity deal, as bad as it looks optics-wise, take it and move on. Like, we got to get a deal done 6 months ago.
In the offseason, we can get more for Cam Johnson than that Cleveland trade. That Cleveland trade is
Can we, though, Gary? There's no telling we're going to get a better offer.
Well, we can include him as a salary piece in a trade for a star, which is why I think he may not get traded. I'd say likely he is. I would say it's 70-30. A 70% chance he gets traded.
I'm down to 55-45 with the way Marks works. The guy is just absolutely fucking horrible.
Marks doesn't know how to negotiate. He can't even sell bread right now. I guarantee. I don't think Marks could sell bread to anybody if he tried. That's just how bad he is a negotiator.
He couldn't sell me on a number 2 sharpened pencil if he had the chance to. He is absolutely horrible.
He's not good. But, you know, when the owner likes you, that's all that matters, right? There's only one person that needs to think you're good, and that's the owner. If he thinks you're good, it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks.
I'm telling you, Marks has some form of video evidence of Joe Tsai doing some crazy shit.
He's got video, audio, he's got everything on him. Like, there's no way anyone can think he's good at this point.
There's absolutely no way they don't.
And I was talking to little Connor Long that comes on my show, the 13-year-old boy wonder, and we were saying the same thing. It's like, who has the safest job in America? Sean Marks. Like, it doesn't matter how bad he does. Like, he can.
Yeah, but that's the pissed off thing, Gary. He's got a record by letting stars walk over you, by letting a role player go into your office and put your arm behind your head and say, trade me across the bridge, I'm not resigning. And then a coach's first year says, I'm not taking, you say, go for it. Like, teams, NBA GMs look at that and be like, hey, listen, Sean, we know you want 2 first-round picks. You wanted 2 for Doe, but we know how you are. We know your record. If they could walk over you on your own team, we don't got to do nothing for you. You take the first. You take some seconds for Johnson. That's it. That's what Marks has done. He's got a record now. Everybody knows who he is. That's why we need a new GM that not many people know, or if they do know, they actually respect and want to do business. That's the thing about Sean Marks. He's a good guy, but he's not a businessman, and that's a problem. Right, Dylan? That's a problem. We don't. The NBA basketball business cannot require good guys. Needs a guy that actually has some ruthlessness, some strategic to themselves. And I don't know if Marks has that, and that's why I'm worried that this guy's leading this new iteration, because we can't screw this up. He's got to be great. He can't fail, but Marks has just shown us, guys, that he's willing to let people walk over him because he has to protect his reputation, which these GMs look at. It's like, it's not that good of a reputation. We're not giving you 2 firsts for the guy.
My
John,
question would be: Is Detroit dumb enough to go for a guy like Cam Johnson?
Yes, they're very dumb.
Like that was like they have.
I don't know.
That's what I'm saying though. Like, Ivy's out, right? What if it's a package of like Tim Hardaway Jr. and like a random guy plus a first or 2? Like,
Hardaway's expiring?
Yeah, I'm open to that.
Expiring, yeah.
He's not playing at all, right?
No, he's playing.
Is he playing?
Yeah.
They have cap space too, right, Dylan? They got like 8 to 10 million cap space, so they can absorb some of Johnson's contract too.
Tim Hardaway Jr. and 2 firsts for Cam Johnson and still have like 10, 15 million.
Let's do it. That's an excellent deal. Like,
why is Detroit making that? Yeah, why is Detroit making that trade?
They need an offensive spark. They want to be in the playoffs to play in. They want to make a statement with Kate Cunningham. It's quite simple. What's the uh-oh?
The Minnesota Timberwolves could be looking to move on from Julius Randle at the trade deadline.
We're not taking Randle.
Yeah,
no. But Gary, what was your question you had for me? What was your question?
Yeah, you know Sean Marks did. Would you like 4 first-rounders for Julius Randle? You know Sean Marks is doing that right now.
Come on. Gary, put on a hoodie. Put on a hoodie.
He's going to play Randle at the 5. He's like, I got my
that would just be disgusting. The Timberwolves about to give me 5 first-round picks for Randle. 5. I want 5. I want to take a guy for anything less than 5. Come on. He's been atrocious. He's the reason Edwards wants out. The reason why they called this whole team soft as cotton candy. Like, I don't want Randle, man. That guy is an attitude adjustment issue. You think Zion is bad? This guy literally thinks he walks the earth as one of the best basketball players of all time, when really you weren't that good in the playoffs. You've been a great regular season dude, but this season you've literally fallen off. So I don't want this guy unless I'm getting 4 picks.
His entire offensive game is built on mismatches. He either cooks slow 5s or bullies small 4s. That's what he does. In the playoffs, guess what you're not playing? You're not playing those really slow 5s, right?
Exactly.
Steven Adams isn't playing in the playoffs, so he can't cook those guys. So his game becomes like he's a regular season player where in the playoffs, he doesn't get those mismatches to take advantage of it. And you see his percentages and his point free, everything falls off a cliff because he's a regular season player. I want nothing to do with Julius Randle. And I just hope Sean Marks agrees. But I think Sean Marks is like, ooh, Julius Randle. I really do.
Oh, yeah. He wants to come back to play with Brooklyn, right? Come on. We don't need to do that. We don't need to take the Knicks sloppy seconds again.
I mean, here's another potential route, though. What if it's a 3-team deal with Minnesota and Detroit and Brooklyn, right? Like, say Randall to Detroit, you know? Say Cam Johnson to Minnesota. Detroit gives us a pick. Is there potential there?
I'm open to that deal. You give me Tim Hardaway coming here with a first, maybe Minnesota throws in some seconds. I'm fine with that deal. Send Randall to the Pistons. He fits the Pistons style. He understands that grittiness, mismatch crap, and then he gets, outed in playoffs. I'm fine sending him to there because they have the cap space for it. Give us Hardaway, give us an unprotected first, and give us some seconds. I'm good to go. I'm not tied to anybody. I have an expiring contract. I just had a whole bunch of draft assets. We should probably up to around 34 to 35 picks after that deal. So I'm fine with that deal. But this is what Sean Monk's problem is. He's holding out these 2 firsts. Move on. If there's nobody making a deal by Sunday evening, guys, we can have to go. Move your price out. Try to get a first. Try to get a 3-team deal. Get all the assets you can get, but get this guy out by February 6th. If he's on the team by February 6th, I'm telling you, Zion Giannis is not just a pipe dream anymore, folks. Marks might actually do it. There's no reason to keep this guy on to be a 3rd or 4th option with two or three incoming prospects. Makes no damn sense. So let's hope this gets resolved, or we're gonna have a big problem on our hands here, folks.
I mean, the
Seriously.
only logical thing is if they give him some bullshit and say like, oh, he's out for the season, he's gotta get an ankle, his ankle all right, and then you just trade him on draft night. Like that is literally the only other logical excuse, because there's not one after that I can find which shows him on this team.
Seriously.
All right, I gotta wrap this up. Guys. Any closing thoughts on Cam Johnson, on the trade?
Just hopefully it gets done.
Yeah, hopefully it gets done. But just like Dylan said, this weekend I feel like something big is coming. A big 3-headed beast dragon multi-team deal, and whoever's involved in it, I think that's what's going to set the playing field for the trade deadline officially starting. So hopefully this Jimmy Butler fiasco gets done, so Johnson, his value can not only go up, we can find a team or two to make a 3-team swap. Whatever you got to do, we got to get him off this team. So hopefully this Jimmy Butler stuff is what sets us up to get the assets and just move on. But we got to get this done first before we could get that. So let's hope for the best, folks.
All right, John, close us out. Tell us where everyone can find you. And then Dylan, once again, go over all the changes that are going on. John, go ahead.
Gary, Dylan, always fun talking basketball with you. We are in a new era, a new conglomeration of a podcast, and we're going to bring you that fun energy as much as we can. And yeah, if you want to follow me on Twitter, you can follow me at OS91413John. I'm always around, and I'm a post away from post some good looking content. So let's keep the good vibes moving and that great energy flowing.
All right, Dylan, give us the rundown one more time.
So if you are just tuning in, we are we're combining forces. We're no longer going to be doing the BK Network podcast as of right now. So we are going to be joining Nothing But Nets, but with a little bit of a tweak. It's going to be called BK Nothing But Nets podcast. So subscribe to us here, and also feel free to follow us on Twitter at BK Network Pod. It's going to be switched to the new name, new logo, the whole 9 yards. And moving forward, we're also going to be streaming on Twitter as well. So you can find us at Twitter or on YouTube. Make sure to subscribe here. If you want, feel free to follow me on Instagram at NetsPress for your fastest, most reliable Brooklyn Nets news. And yeah, we'll see you guys soon.
So probably no show tomorrow, because me and Dylan are going to try to switch the format and everything. Me and Dylan
Let's
so
see.
probably no show tomorrow.
Do we play Friday?
No, we don't play again until Saturday, right? The Vince Carter game?
Right.
So
that is correct. Yeah. So Saturday, Vince Carter game. That's that. I would say let's shoot for that.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So no show tomorrow. We'll be back Saturday. Me, Dylan, and we're gonna switch up the format. We're gonna rebrand the whole thing. And so Saturday we'll have the BK Nothing But Nets podcast. That sound good for everyone?
Sounds good, man.
All right. It's January 23rd, 2025, from Texas to the world. Well, I can't just say from Texas now, because it's from Texas, South
from
Carolina,
Texas, from New York,
Queens.
from Charlotte.
To the world. Thank you, and God bless.
Peace.
Later.